Hi guys, welcome to DSS Reptiles. I hope you're doing good in this really crap situation. Just thought I'd do a wee video on these guys, the Royal Pythons, or Ball Pythons as some folk know them as well. This is Simba. He's my very first ever Royal that got him into the collection. He's about 4 years old now, and you just typically class him as a normal or a wild type Royal Python. As you can see, he's a pretty chill little dude. Basically, just going to go through like where he's from, like what kind of setup you would need, and just basically what you would feed him and stuff like that. So I've had this little guy since he was like tiny, and he was only about 100 grams maybe when I got him, maybe more. Um, yeah, so I would definitely recommend these guys for keeping. Um, a lot of folk would say corn snakes as well, but I find these guys a lot more like docile and chilled. Um, so really you just kind of find these guys in like grassland areas and like open forests, say Central Africa. Their habitat is mostly like just like underground burrows. You don't really see them during the day. It's mostly dawn and dusk they're really active, and that's mainly when you'd see these guys like moving about and just kind of hunting for food. You wouldn't really see them during the day. So, and also like you wouldn't really see them if they were hiding in the burrows as well. If like they were looking through a shed or that kind of thing, really. So these wee guys are, well, he is shy, but he is quite chilled out. Um, so really, these wee guys like need quite not overly humid environment, but they do need the humidity up for going through the shed process. A lot of folk tend to keep them on uh, like cocoa fibre, or just like a lot of folk use Lignocell. Uh, wouldn't really recommend Aspen, as a lot of folk find it like really moulds quite a lot. Plus, it tends to cause a lot of respiratory problems. But really, it's whatever suits you and what you want to keep the snakes on. Um, I've really just got him on cocoa fibre, and I find this really helps with him when he's shedding. So that's what I kind of keep him on, and I keep him at a temperature between 32, 35 degrees for his hotspot, and then obviously like a cooler end for him so that he can like go and regulate his temperature, because these guys can't actually regulate their own body temperature, so they have to like go and find an area which they can actually go, right, I'm too cold, so I need to go and move and I need to bask under a spot. So yeah, plus the heat, they need that as well because they need to digest their food. But these are like, this is the typical colour you would see that you'd be looking for, like if you were going out herping or looking for reptiles. So it's this typical black and brown that you'd be looking for. So these are like the wild types. Um, but yeah, I feed him on small rats, but they will eat pretty much anything. Mice, rats, any rodent they can fit into their mouths. Um, Obviously in captivity they can get like chicks and I suppose they can get them in the wild, but a lot of folk just tend to give them mice and rats, as chicks don't really have a good like, nutritional value. I suppose as well a lot of folk feed African soft-furred rats as well. Just which for these guys they just absolutely love them. It's plus there's a lot higher protein content in the African soft-furred rats. But yeah, this wee guy he gets fed. I try and give him one every 2 weeks just because he was in a bit the smaller side and he did go off his food for quite a bit, so he did lose a bit of weight. That was just mainly because he's going through a breeding season. He's looking for a female. Unfortunately, I've not got any females at the moment that he can pair with. So he's just kind of like, he's not really interested in food at the moment, plus with the colder climate. Even though we've got the temperatures, like, we've got them to what they need, they still know that the climate's changing. So, yeah, I just kind of like, I find these guys a lot easier to keep than anything else, plus they're something that I really enjoy keeping. As you can see, he's not really bothering with me doing this with him just now. And I really do like the normals. I just feel they're so underrated and a lot of folk don't give the time for them and they just think, oh, it's a normal, so that's it. But they have kind of broadened out in the different colours of them, which in my next video I'll show you my boy Sprite, who's a different morph, where you can get different morphs of royals, but it just really depends on what you're interested in as well. But I'll not go in too much that kind of detail there now. I'll do another video on the different morphs. But comment below if there's any kind of morphs that you guys are interested in, or if there's anything you want to know about them. But these are like the beginning point, which I like, and just being able to see like how everything's branched out and how they've like changed so much and how there's so many different colours that have come out. Yeah, it's amazing. I just can't believe it, but the population's just exploded with different colours. My favourite really being the GHI, which is Got to Have It, but they're really, really dark, so they're a really darker version of him, but I will get that wee boy out for you one day. Just he's due to shed at the moment. So yeah, he's not really in the mood to see anybody. But yeah, these are like, I'd say these are quite cool we did. But yeah, I tend to a lot of folk debate, like, they like to keep them in racking systems. And I'm not saying it's wrong to keep them in it, or it's now you've got to keep them in it. It's just your personal preference. Like, a lot of folk like to keep them in wooden vivariums. If you've got like quite a lot and that you're breeding, a lot of folk tend to like use racking systems, I suppose, because it doesn't take up as much space. Excuse the noise. You can hear my tegu. He's really hungry, so he'll be getting fed later on. Yeah, so a lot of folk tend to use, like, for example, I've got him in a vivarium, so he's in a 3 foot vivarium at the moment, which is going to be upgraded. I've got the ceramic heat lamp, so I've got that at the moment, which is on a thermostat, which has to control the temperature. And really what you need is once you've got that installed, you need to put your guard on it so he doesn't end up burning his skin, because these guys have got like heat sensors which run along their face, and he can see that heat, so they'll, if they're cool, they'll try and wrap around the heat. So really the best thing to do is just make sure that you've got a heat guard around that, and make sure you've got a thermostat attached to the ceramic heat. Yeah, so really you've got your hot end, you've got your cool end, and then you make sure he's got his substrate, so he uses the cocoa fibre, which I use to keep it nice and like the humidity up. Not really, not as much like really damp, but just enough so that the humidity's kept up and he's not going to end up with any respiratory issues. That's another thing you want to keep an eye on. Just like you'll be able to tell as well with the animal's behaviour, like if anything's not right. So for example, like if his heating wasn't right, or it was too like he wasn't feeling secure enough, he would go off his food. Like so yeah, you just make sure like his heating was correct, make sure that he's not too hot, not too cold, make sure his substrate's correct, make sure he's got plenty of hiding spaces. So like make sure he's got like stuff like caves and bits that he can go into, like burrows, because these guys do use burrows. And what I found is as well, you've got to kind of make sure that they have got like areas that when you've got burrows, you've got to make sure they're clean. It's just I don't know, like I need to actually double check it, but I've read up to like these guys like have their burrows, they have their food, and then if they've got to shed in the poo, then they move on to a different area because animals won't go into the burrow areas. Yeah, so they'll like move on to different areas so that they'll go to an area where there's a chance of more like prey items, or like so that they can pretty much get what they need. But yeah, so just make sure like he's got his hot hide, his cool hide. If you feel like your humidity's not up, mist his tank. And like if you feel you want to get a bit of shed, like if he's not managed to get it off, just make sure there's like enough things that he can rub against. And like these guys are terrestrial, but they will climb if you give them the option to, because they are quite active. As you can see, he likes to like just move about, which I'm letting him do freely. I'm not holding on to him. So yeah, you just want to kind of make sure that these guys like have got the right setup, and they're so easy to look after that's why I would recommend them highly to anybody that wants a first time snake. But yeah, he's pretty much, he's at his full size. He will get bigger. So these guys like pretty much we can grow a metre in length, but they can get bigger. Just depends all on your care. And as age goes, like he can live up to 10 years in the wild. However, in the captivity they can live much longer. As I said, it depends on the animal. But yeah, these wee guys are quite chilled. But yeah, pretty much when you just kind of like make sure that they're fed properly, and make sure you can like you've got like you get them checked and make sure they're eating whatever. Really depends on the size as well when you get them. So like when they're smaller, which I'll show you in another video, you get hatchlings which are on like, some of them can go on mouse fuzzies, but some of them can go on rat pups. Just depends on what the animal prefers. And as they get older, you just kind of gradually change that, but you make sure that it's only a size same size as if, so that there's enough to make like a kind of bulge on the biggest part of the animal's body. And as they grow, they'll shed, and they'll get bigger every time. But sometimes they won't eat while they're going through the shed, so that's nothing really to worry about. His eyes will go blue when he's through the shed, and he'll go really dull, and then he'll go back to normal, which is like this, because he's actually just shed, so he's looking really nice. And once pretty much he's shed, that's him. He'll feed like a week later, or just a couple of days later even, if you want to try him. But yeah, every time they pretty much shed, they get bigger, they grow, and every time you need to upgrade the size. But yeah, you can buy like all the kind of food at your pet shop and stuff like that. You can buy them online, all that kind of thing. And as I said, it just depends on what you want to feed your animal to. But yeah, thought I'd give you this wee video on this wee guy and let you see the first ever royal I've kept in my collection. So yeah, I've got a new line of merch coming out, so if you guys want to have a look on the description below, you can have a look. I've got like hoodies out at the moment, but I will be having some more items out. If you want to see any more videos, comment down below what you would like to see, and if there's anything that you want to know, pretty sure we can ask questions, can't we? And like this video, share it, subscribe, tell me anything else that you guys are up to. Hope these are all keeping safe and all doing well during this time. And I'll speak to you guys soon.